Then I studied and then I liked it. But at the end, I was very, passionate about what I did.
And I think mathematics it really, really helps. So it was even a bulletproof type of studies. But
Since we know that your background is in blockchain, you're working still in blockchain, and you've taught blockchain, can you explain in a few words what is blockchain?
welcome everybody to this new episode of the RIV Podcast. Today we have as a guest with Tommaso Guido Rocco, the COO of RIV Technologies. Guido has a really strong background in consulting, and now he's working here in Dubai with RIV Technologies. Welcome, Guido.
Thank you guys for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and I would like to remind Emanuele that we have to be very careful since he is our boss.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. And of course, me and Emanuele know very well your story and your background. But for the viewers who are listening us today, can you please summarize a bit of your story and your background to them?
Okay, so I was born in Italy, southern Italy to be precise. I've studied mathematics, pure mathematics. I did my bachelor's and my master. So a total of 5 years, which I spent between the South Italy and Milan, which I graduated for my master's degree in pure mathematics. Then I went actually also 1 month to Germany to an exchange program. So I had also a little bit of an international experience, which for a young student, it's always good, I think, to see the world and not to be in your country. And then I started working in the corporate sector in consulting, to be precise. I've worked around 7 years in IT consulting in IBM, which is one of the greatest IT companies. Very great company. I really loved my time spent there, and I started from the bottom, as an intern. I could not even write software, so I knew a little bit about technology because I was searching by myself, but I didn't have any job experience. So I started writing code, like the last code monkey in the company. Then I since somehow I was good in my job, I started to do more interesting things, and I started also to manage teams, and I did my experience, and I learned a lot about technology, the new technology, the emerging technologies, with a focus on blockchain. But of course, when you are a consultant, you see so many different things that I managed to get a grasp of all the leading technologies of our time, artificial intelligence, for example. Then I completely switched my focus, in the sense that after 7 years, I got bored with consulting. So I joined Roberto in Dubai. And it's almost 2 years that I'm here in Dubai. So
Incredible story. And when we hear, just making a step back to your story, we hear pure mathematics as a master. A lot of people run away, and we know that it's a complex topic.
Yeah.
What made you choose pure mathematics, and was it also for you a complex topic, or you always had an ease with it?
Yeah, that's very, very good question. Actually, I was not sure about what I will do when I finish university, but I really liked the mathematics program of the last year of high school. But I also liked other things, philosophy, literature, many other things. So I said, okay, let's start with mathematics. Let's go to university and to see one lesson and to see if I like it. So if I like it, I may continue. If I don't like it, I'm still in time, no? Because it was in the beginning when you still are searching for what to do before even taking the how can I say, before you subscribe to the program, to the bachelor program. And so I that was the first lesson, which was abstract algebra. And I say at the end of the lesson, I say, okay, I didn't understand anything of what the professor said, but I like it. It seems interesting. Let's see if I can understand. If I can understand what this guy is talking about. Then I studied, and then I liked it. And at the end, I was very, passionate about what I did, and I always have this strong. Feeling when I think about my studies of mathematics. It's one of the things that I would have done if I could go back in time. So if I can summarize what made me choose for mathematics, I liked it, and it was enough complex to keep me interested for 5 years without getting bored.
I mean, I like the approach how even though you didn't understand anything in the first lesson, a lot of people, they get scared and they just go away from it because I'm never going to be able to reach that type of level because it's very complex.
Yeah.
And still what you did, you just went back, you studied and decided to continue this path. So already I think this says a lot about your character in general.
Yeah, I like complex things and things that I don't understand immediately. And there are some topics that are easy, but there are some topics that are more complex. I'm usually more fascinated around these complex topics in which they keep my interest high, because 3 years of bachelor and 2 years of masters is a lot of time. So either you find something you're really interested, or you have the patience to continue, or you might get bored. I mean, not all people are the same. I get bored very quickly. So if there is not something that keeps my attention high, I tend not to be interested. So mathematics was enough complex to give me this, and because the pure mathematics is very complex, and sometimes you don't understand even what you are studying. So you need to really to study and to ask, and but also mathematics is very fair topic in the sense that there is no interpretation, right? So you could say to the professor, no, this passage is wrong, this is wrong. And actually, while, for example, in literature, everything is more subjective, no?
Yeah, or politics as well.
Yeah. So I really liked this fact that everyone was on the same level, and we could have conversations about the topic in a very easy way also with professors. Also because we were 10, 15 of us. In the last years, I mean, the last course, it was in Milan, I think group theory or representation theory. It's something related to abstract algebra. We were like 4 of us in the class.
Of course. And Guido, I would like to ask you, how much have your studies in mathematics helped you in your career as a consultant at IBM?
So regarding the things that you can use, basically it's zero, because you don't use mathematics unless you do very complex things, unless you do data science, unless you do these things, you don't use it. But I think it gives you the approach and the method to tackle complex things. At the end, the business world is to solve complex things and to solve it better, more quickly, more efficiently than your competitors. So having the mathematics approach helps you because it allows you to be more flexible, but also more rigorous in what you do. So it was very important for me.
Yeah, also what I would like to add, I think that choosing some bulletproof masters and studies, in this case mathematics, you can land really anywhere in any top firms, because there are some type of studies that are more oriented for a broad type of market, in terms of firm. And I think mathematics it really, really helps. So it was even a bulletproof type of studies. But
it was not like that in the past, I think. Because when I was speaking with my parents, for example, they always tell, okay, but what you can do with mathematics? I also didn't have like clear what I would have done later. But then I discovered that there is a lot of demand, for mathematics in the industry. So I think this depends from the fact that the world is even more, is becoming more and more digital. So there is a lot of data to be analyzed. So all the skills that come with a mathematics degree are useful also in this. So I would suggest to people to study mathematics. If I had my son, I would say study mathematics. Don't study engineering. Sorry for the engineers. I mean, if you want to become an engineer, study engineering. But if you don't know what to do, and you say, okay, I choose engineer because then I will get paid a lot, I will say, don't study. If you like mathematics, study mathematics. If you like philosophy, study philosophy. If you are good, you can do anything. There are top managers that are philosophy degrees. There are entrepreneurs that they don't even have a degree. So it's not even important to have a degree. So
yeah, I also think that you learn most of the things where you work at on the spot.
On the spot, yeah.
So if you can show that you have that ratio behind you and that potential in solving complex problems, I think mathematics maybe is the master to go for.
I love mathematics. Guys, study mathematics. I'm not joking.
Well, so you basically said that mathematics didn't help you much for your consultancy career.
No, basically zero.
You're saying that most of the things that you've used during your career as a consultant, you've learned on your own.
On my own. Actually, mix on the job and on my own. In the sense that, of course, when you start working, people help you because, of course, they cannot expect you to do things. At least a little help, you get it, right? If you have to write something in Java, you don't know Java, they usually have a senior guy that say, okay, do this, do that. No? So I had this type of figure in the beginning of my career, and I thank them because I really learned a lot from them. And but in the end, many of the things that you learn in the job, you learn in while you start working, and a lot you learn also on your own. It's a mix of the both.
I think you touch a very important point in this case, and it's the role model is the mentor as well. Did you have in your life any mentors, people that really helped you to get where you are right now?
Yes, I think a couple of figures in IBM have been crucial. My previous manager did a lot for my personal growth, and he was really, really attentive to the people of his team. So it was a really great manager, but also many figures that were not directly related to my team, but that started, for example, to teach me about blockchain and these things. Even if it was not their job, I was not assigned to them. But if you are in an office, then in Italy, in IBM, we have an open space. So you can talk with other colleagues, and sometimes there is one colleague that needs help. You get a lot of networking just by being there in the office and speaking with people. So there is this aspect that is also important. And in this context, you get the opportunity to meet your mentors. Why? Because a lot of people want to help. Because when you know a lot of things and you see a young kid of 24 years old, you want to help him somehow. So, I mean, if you are starting to work, it's important to find the mentors, but you don't have to think, I have to find a mentor in 2 years. Like if you're running a race, it just comes naturally in the progression of your of your experience. When you start working, there will be figures that have more experience for the mere fact that they were born earlier, so they started to work earlier and they have more experience. These people, some of them probably they will not help, but in the normal development of the life in the office, you will meet these people, and many of these people, if you ask for help, they will help, and then you develop this mentorship relationship.
Yeah, and I believe that whatever you learn from your mentors, you're still using to this day, probably.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, like how you're doing two very different jobs, from consultancy to what you're doing now as a COO, but still you manage to apply what you've learned in what you're doing now. But still, going back to IBM, I wanted to ask you, is there a particular project that was particularly interesting to you, or that you still remember to this day?
Now, I don't know which project I can talk about. I didn't review the... but I worked with big Italian companies in financial services, in energy and utilities, in also the public sector. And I remember a lot of business trips in Rome. That was a period in which I was basically every 1 or 2 weeks. I was on Monday in the office. I came with the luggage in the office. Then I took the train from the Milan station, took taxi train to Rome, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in Rome, and then Friday back to the office. This is normal for every consultant. I mean, consulting, you travel a lot, so it's nothing special. But I really have a good memory of every time I was working with the clients, because I really learned a lot. I developed a lot of relationships with very, very smart people. So when I started, that was, for example, a very interesting project, which was the tracking of the basil for the pesto in Italy. That was an important project in Italy. You can find it. Then we worked with the Ministry of Development Economics. It was a great project in which we developed the proof of concept around blockchain for the textile industry. And we did a presentation with Confindustria Moda, which is the Italian sector, like the organization of all the entrepreneurs in the textile and fashion. And that was also the ministry that had to came. So I was really excited to meet him. Then unfortunately, at the last moment, he didn't come. But it was also in the media, I think you find some reference. It was a very great project because we had held a workshop with all the entrepreneurs from the industry to present this application that we did about blockchain. We did also a study that has been published. I think you may find even something on the internet. So this was a very interesting project that I really liked at the time.
And I do think that consultancy really gives you, in this case, so many connections and knowledge in terms of the people you can meet. Of course, when you work at an important firm like yours, without wanting you mentioning such important names, and it's things that usually you cannot get maybe if you work in a very small firm. So already this, I think, was so beneficial. But tell me more, because the consultancy, we talk about how you learn things, and I know from also what my friend says that you kind of get thrown a bit. It's really rough. The first impact.
It's rough. Yeah.
Do you have any funny stories that maybe you could tell us?
Yeah. I mean, they put me in calls without me knowing what was the content of the call. But this is normal. I mean, the first days I did a call in which I had to be with another, I think a partner or a senior person, and the guy, the partner, didn't show up because he probably had other things, so he forgot about the call, no? So this was the partner. That was my manager. My manager said, "Okay, you do the call with the partner." So he didn't have any fault. Huh? Then there was no partner. And I was alone. That was with an important international organization, and I went to the call, but the guy was not connecting.
Was not attending the call.
The other guy, you know, and I didn't know what to do because it was, I think, the third day, fourth day that I was there. But so I got angry. I said, "Well, this guy is not." So I went to the email and searched the number of the guy, and I called and said, "Oh, but there is the call. Why you're not connecting?" And they say, "Oh, I'm sorry." So the guy, they managed to speak. So also the client was very supportive, and they managed to make this guy connect. So, but then I have many funny stories, many interesting things about business trips, about meetings in hotels with colleagues that come from was Norway, all over Europe to work on projects related to blockchain. And we worked with the IBM research in Zurich, with IBM research in Israel. So we worked with a lot
Amazing.
It was very interesting. Yeah.
And how was the transition from more operational task to solving actually more complex problems?
It's different because when you are at the beginning, your success is determined on how good you are in what you do, no? And how you are physically doing the tasks, no? So, for example, you have to work a lot. Why? Because your job depends only on you. You cannot leverage the work of other people, no? Because you are the last one in the chain, no? While you so the first thing that you have to do if you start working is do your job and do it well. Work a lot of time if necessary. If you are a genius, do work whatever hour makes you deliver the things properly, and then you will, if you are good, people will trust you. So you will start to get more important tasks, and until you get to a point in which you are faced with in consulting, for example, speaking with clients and this stuff. At that point, you start to develop other skills, which are the so-called soft skills. And if you like it, you progress in your career. If you don't like it, you can just become an individual contributor and do your job. Many individual contributors get paid a lot. For example, if you work in Google as a software engineer, you get paid a lot, for example. So, but if you do this type as you progress towards your career, you will be the time that you spend working will be less. So, if the beginning, for example, I was working 90% of the time, working instead, I mean doing the physical job, no. Then when you progress. You will do like 10% of the time, and the rest will be meetings and will be stuff. There were some times in which I said at the end of the day, okay, but today I didn't do anything. I just did meetings, no. But then your work is to do meetings, is to speaking with people and to make your team do what they have to do. So you transition from a job which is simply doing your job to leverage the work of other people. And this implies that you have to understand what people are good in what tasks, because no one of us is good at everything. So you have to create your team such that you have everyone that can do one thing, but the mix.
Yeah, it's a complementary model.
And this is important, and this is the basics of how to build a team. You need to understand. You need to understand people, and this is also the job that I'm doing in RIV, to create the team. And it's really important to do this if you want to progress in your career. So as soon as you progress, you will be faced with different tasks that will be more complex, but you will have more experience to be able to solve it.
I mean, it's such a delicate job, I think, especially in a startup, because if you miss a person at a corporate level, it's not that big of a deal. But if you take the wrong person in a startup, then it can turn very wrong. And I think that's where you're really being...
That's true, for the simple fact that in the startup there are less people. So if in a corporate environment you have hundreds, thousands of employees, that means that the work of the employee is not that important, but the work of the management is more important. But I would say in a startup, the role of the people are sometimes even more important than the role of the manager. Because when you build a startup, you need to have good individual contributors. While if you work in Google, you need to have good managers to set the structure. So it's different according to how big is the company and what also the company does.
I mean, it sounds to me, listening to all of us now, it sounds like your role now as a COO of a startup, it's quite nerve-wracking at times compared to your job as a consultant. Is it correct?
Yeah, I would not use the term nerve-wracking in the sense that I'm not usually very nervous in my job. It's complex. It's more complex, of course, because it's 10 times more complex. But I would say...
But you like complex stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I would say a partner in Google, a vice president, I don't know, in an investment bank, I think they have the same type of complexity. And I want to say that they don't. I mean, it's just that in a company, it's the times that you need to arrive to this position is higher because there are more people and the hierarchy is more complex. In a startup, usually you don't have this hierarchy, so it's you are faced with complex things before, right? While in Google or in Facebook and whatever, you are 45, 50 until you reach a certain position with a certain freedom, but also responsibilities.
Yeah, and in this case, because we mentioned, of course, your background as a consultant, and we mentioned also the startup, but let's also tell the audience how that transition happened and what led you from going to Milan, in this case, to Dubai.
Yeah, so I was actually, one thing that I don't mention is that throughout this time, I've been also doing an executive course for managers for the MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and this allowed me to teach blockchain to basically a lot of entrepreneurs, managers, and so on. So I had the opportunity of meeting a lot of people, and also Roberto, for example. I met it in one of these courses that I was doing, because I really love to teach. So it was a way of complementing my job in IBM. So I was doing these two jobs in parallel, but I mean, IBM knew about this involvement, so I disclosed everything to be sure that I was not breaching any regulation. And then I at that time I also was thinking about changing, because after a while in consulting, I was a little bored, and I wanted something different. So I was searching for something different, and then I started to work with Roberto because his ideas seemed interesting, and we are doing it now. Now we can see practically the development of his idea, and so when I understood his idea, I said, okay, this is great. This can be inserted in a bigger company purpose, right? Which is to join the traditional finance with the decentralized finance. That's what we are doing here with all the projects that we are bringing, the wallet, the academy, and so on. And so I really wanted to help to build this, because I was also interested in finance, but finance and blockchain somehow didn't talk with each other. I think it's because blockchain is complex. So still now, it's not easy to find entrepreneurs that are so visionary about that. And I knew blockchain because I've been working in blockchain projects for years. So I saw a lot of potential in this idea, and so I started to helping him. At a certain point, he said, "Okay, why don't you come on board?" It was really at the beginning of the project. That was the RIV Capital was still there. I mean, Roberto is like more than 15 years that he's making money with his strategies. RIV Capital had, I think, 1 year of history at the time. So still new, no? And I said, okay, but that, because he wants to do this project in Dubai because of the regulation and everything that is happening here in the crypto and digital assets space, basically. So I said, okay, let's come to Dubai to check. And when I came here to check, because I didn't know anything about Dubai, no? I only knew that it was in the desert. So I said, okay, let's come and see if it's good, no? And I came, and that was also Enrico at the same moment. That's when we met, and I really liked it because it's very different from Europe. Also, you have all these skyscrapers that seems like architects are doing a challenge to who builds the best one. No? There are some skyscrapers that are really beautiful. So I like this fact because in Italy we don't have any skyscrapers, no? Only probably Milan something, but it's very different environment. And then I remember it was the 8th of December or 7th, and we had a meeting, I think at 5. I was not working, but I still was helping Roberto. I was free at the moment. I didn't have anything to do, basically. And Enrico said, okay, let's go to the beach. It was, I think, around lunchtime. I said, oh. So we took the swimming suit. We went to the beach in Jumeirah. And then Enrico showed me the place. We ate some pasta there. And then we went back to the office. So I said, wow, in this city you can go to the beach, then go back and go to the office. It's incredible. In Milan, you cannot do it because the closest, there is no sea basically, no? But even in South Italy probably you can do it, but there is not the economic, there are not the enterprises and the environment to do it. So here there was this thing, and also the fact that in December you can go to the beach, which is something that I've never seen in my life, because I've lived my whole life in Europe. So It was something completely new.
Dubai is really a crazy city, also by the fact that if you really wanted, you could just live in your house and you can get delivered new phones, food, or whatever type of things just by staying there. Or as you said, you can go to the beach, go back to work. It really gives you access to so many things, and the quality of life in Dubai
is very high. I think it's developing very well, and you can see that there is a strategy that it's going on, and it's going well. I think it will go well. Also, now the economics, everything is shifting to the east. I think that was some philosophers that say that. I don't remember who. America was great. It's still a great country. I love the US, but now there are so good Asian countries that are developing, no? So we are going into a world in which the weight of GCC countries and Asia in the global economy is getting bigger. So this is another thing that we might spend hours talking about, but I think they are really developing, and we will see, I think, in the next years this country develop a lot. And then also, of course, Africa at the end. Africa, it will come later because there is still much gap to be addressed there. But ultimately, I think that we are going to a multipolar world in which the United States will still have, I think, will still be predominant, but with less weight compared to the other economies, basically.
So Guido, since we know that your background is in blockchain, you're working still in blockchain, and you've taught blockchain, can you explain in a few words what is blockchain?
Okay, so basically, blockchain is a way of transferring value without a third party that certifies the transaction. And how this operates? The technology operates with an immutable and distributed ledger of transaction, blocks of transactions that are chained in such a way that you cannot modify one block without altering the whole chain. And this is very important since this ledger is shared among every one of us. You don't need the third party that say, okay, this is true, and this is not true.
And do you think blockchain is a complex topic, or do you think it can be taught in a simple, easy way?
I think that the concept is easy, but how it's implemented is complex. Why? Because it's a technology that acts on a level which is deeper than the normal other technologies. For example, AI. AI is very complex, but for the user, AI is transparent because you use ChatGPT, you use your AI tools, and it's easy for a person to understand what AI is because it's using it in the daily lives. But with blockchain, it's different because for its nature, blockchain is something that acts below the eyes. So the blockchain is useful is there are a lot of technologies also that builds on it, but if it's not used, then of course it's difficult to perceive the value of blockchain. And it's like, for example, internet. It's the application that have been built using the internet protocol are amazing. So basically, that's how internet was born, right? But the concept of the internet protocol and how it works, many people don't know it, and only a few people know how it works. So blockchain will have to transition into something like that, in which you have applications built on blockchain and tools that use the blockchain. But for the point of view of the person, they will not see the technology basically.
And where do you see blockchain applied in the next 5 years? Is there a field where you see a lot of potential into it?
I still think that probably the greatest application of blockchain is Bitcoin, which was the the first implementation of the blockchain. Every technology has a killer app, as something that puts the technology under the spotlight. And for the blockchain, I think this is Bitcoin, because it enabled a different way of owning and transferring value. So Bitcoin is the killer app, basically, of the blockchain. And in the future, all the main use cases of the blockchain, I think, we rely on financial services, international payments, all things that are related to finance, and of course the world of crypto, that will become even a more interesting asset class for people to invest, and also for new projects to launch. I mean, now a new project can launch and fund themselves by using tokens. You don't need to ask for the bank. You can basically create a token and do an offering on a decentralized exchange, and the project can be funded. You can launch a project on a launchpad, and you can fundraise in a very easy way. This is also another important thing about the blockchain that many people don't even know. So it simplifies also the way projects can get funding, which I think is a great thing for business as a whole.
And talking about projects, what is the most interesting or innovative project that you're currently working on?
We are working on many projects. I can mention RIV Academy, which is an innovation in terms of learning, and it's a new education for the next generation that primarily is focused on economics, blockchain, cryptocurrency. So it's a mix of traditional finance, decentralized finance, delivered in a way that it's interested and catchy for people. So the academy is like a part of the puzzle. When I told you before about joining decentralized finance and centralized finance, also providing this new way of learning will make people understand the both aspects of investing. The old one, we can say, the traditional one, and the new one, which is the one of digital assets. So I think it's a very interesting project, because I don't see many academies focused on that. The main focus of the academies is these topics and the integration of these topics.
And very often we see very long educational videos where personally my attention span is not so high, because we are bombarded all the time by reels and short-term content. And I think one really key word and thing that we were able to implement was that we do short videos still with a lot of value. And I think value is a key word into it.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, a business has to create value. The business of the academy is to provide value to subscribers. And value, what is? We created value if a person has understood what blockchain is, has understood how to approach the blockchain, or how to approach the world of traditional finance. And we will have given him the means for operating in this new space. So I completely agree.
And going back to before, we talked and we mentioned Bitcoin. And I wanted to ask you, do you really see Bitcoin as the new digital gold? What do you think are really the strong pros and limitations?
I'm very pro Bitcoin, and for one reason, I think I touched the argument. I've written also about it many years ago. I think Bitcoin will be a digital store of value for one reason, because it's more effective than gold. And why it's more effective than gold? It's simple, because you don't need you don't need a place to store it. You don't need a caveau to store it. It's on the blockchain technically. You can use ledgers to send Bitcoin to other parties, but it's more effective to use. And for the nature of the technological development moves from technologies that are less impactful and less easy to technologies that are easier to use. And if there is a technology which is easier to use, a tool which is easier to use, this tool will ultimately become the main tool, because people will use the tool that it's easier to use. This is how the technological development progress. And with value, it's the same. People will start storing value in Bitcoin. This does not mean that gold will disappear. I'm also pro gold. It's just that we will have many different way of storing, and Bitcoin as a reserve it's great because it's so much easier to store value with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a digital version of gold, we can say.
And talking about blockchain, of course, we know that Bitcoin is the first generation of blockchain, we can say. And where do you see the future application of blockchain in the next 5 or 10 years? Because of course we have the second and third generation. Where do you see blockchain in the upcoming near future?
So there are many aspects of blockchain applications which mainly revolve the retail users and the corporate. So the retail, I think young generation are starting to use crypto, are starting to at least get interested in crypto. If you talk, an 18 years old guy intuitively can learn how to use a ledger, for example, while older people might be less immediate. So people are starting to understand and use crypto. So I think that cryptocurrency will grow as an asset class and as a tool to ultimately, as I said, also to launch new projects on the blockchain and so on. So there will be an ecosystem of projects that will use the blockchain and will be decentralized compared to the centralized one. So from the point of view of people will invest more in crypto. From the point of view of the corporate sector, more projects will start to use the blockchain. From the applications, I think I still see tokenization as one of the most important applications, and I still see financial services as the most important application for the blockchain, because it allows to disintermediate and eliminate the middleman, and so reducing the fees of the transaction. Because every time there is a middleman, there is a fee. Because every step something gets taken out as a fee. So the blockchain allows you to do these things much more efficiently. And I see promising application also in the supply chain, because the blockchain can track very easily assets during the supply chain. So this is another important application, which will probably take more time to implement because supply chains are complex. But it's another way of important application. I don't think that blockchain will be applied to everything. I think that there will be some industries that will benefit more, and some industries that will not even touch the blockchain.
And tell me, Guido, if there is so much value behind the blockchain and the technology behind it, it's so powerful, why so many people still misunderstand it? What are the controversy behind it?
I think that people don't. I think that I mean, people don't see the blockchain, right? That's why people see the AI because they interact with ChatGPT, but people don't see the blockchain. So for this reason, it's difficult for them to understand blockchain. So I think it all depends on the fact that this technology is for its nature is different from the other technologies.
Yeah, and it annoys me so much when, for example, you have been working for such a long time into the blockchain field in a professional level, and then you have some scandals happening and it tarnished the technology behind it. How much do you think education is key to not fall into these scams?
I think it's very important. Education is important because without education, you miss the possibility of using these tools, and you miss the possibility of using these tools at your advantage. This can apply at everything. In your job, you have to use tools. You have to use things. So even in your job, you have to study. Imagine if you have to if you want to approach the world of blockchain, which is more complex than other things, and if you don't study, you will be prone to scams. And the first person that say invest in this, use this blockchain, buy this crypto, you will just fall through it because you don't know anything about it. So it's important, first of all, not to lose money, then not to lose time, which is money, and also to be able to be better than others because you know things that other people don't know. So you can be the first mover in your organization to bring the blockchain. You can use the skills that you learn in your life, in your work, and be the first one to do it or one of the first one. So it will give you an advantage that other will not. So I mean, education is essential for everything. I'm really pro education, and the blockchain education in blockchain is essential to understand this technology and also to understand its value and not to fall into these scams.
And I'm curious, how do you see the relationship between AI and blockchain? Because sometimes when I'm talking with my friends, some people know so little about blockchain that sometimes they use the two terms interchangeably. Do you see them as complementary? Do you see any conflicts? Like, what do you think is the relationship between them?
So AI and blockchain are two different things. I mean, the blockchain is not intelligent, but the AI is not even intelligent right now, right? But blockchain per se does not do actively anything, while the AI does, processes information. You can have a conversation with the AI. Blockchain, no, is just a ledger of transactions. So they are two very different things. Of course, in the development of the technology, many technologies can somehow get in contact. And AI and blockchain is the same. They can coexist in many different ways. So if we think about both technologies, AI, what does? It processes informations and solves problems that we cannot solve, and does it very quickly. The blockchain allows you to take a process which is centralized and make it decentralized. So how the integration with these two entails? It's in making artificial intelligence decentralized, in making sure that the computation is decentralized. For example, you can create AI models and have a decentralized marketplace of AI models, which you can take your model, buy it, you can train the model. So it's all the things that are centralized in the AI. can become decentralized on the blockchain. This, I think, is the most fruitful integration between these two tools.
And talking about AI, again, some people are scared of AI because they think it's going to replace so many jobs, but some people see it more as a tool. Where do you stand into it, and where do you think it's going to be the future about it?
I'm strongly pro artificial intelligence, and I think that ultimately artificial intelligence will reach the human intelligence, which is a claim that might seem bold, yeah. Because we think about artificial intelligence as the artificial intelligence that we have now, which is stupid. The AI that we have now is stupid. Yeah. It can do only a few things better than what we can do, because it has the whole knowledge of internet, whole knowledge of humanity, and it can process it quickly, no? So in this way, AI is better, but it's still not conscious. I mean, you can speak with an AI, but the AI doesn't have feelings, doesn't have anything. The version of the AI that we have is basically an intelligent version of a monkey. Do many things intelligently, but even a monkey can understand more than the AI. So we are in a primitive stage now. AI will evolve and will acquire more human-like abilities, and also human will acquire more AI-like capabilities, and there will be an integration between the human intelligence, the biological intelligence, and the artificial intelligence. But this will happen, I think, later in this century. So it's not something that will happen now, but it will happen around the end of this century, because to be able to do this, we need to understand the human brain. We don't know anything about the human brain. We know very few things. So if we have managed to understand how consciousness works in human beings, we can replicate the human consciousness into a non-human substratum. And in this way, the machine will become conscious. Many people will say no, because we are different. I don't think we are different. I think that we can replicate it in intelligence. Doesn't have to be biological. I mean, this is a bold claim. I don't think intelligence has to be biological. But this will come later. It's not something that we'll see in 10 years, that we can see in 20 years, but it's something that still requires a lot of work, and it's something that will happen later in time. So I see the future of AI flourishing, but AI will be different from the AI that we have now.
And moving on to another topic, investments.
Okay.
So on a personal level, how much has your professional background influenced the way you invest your savings, your money?
Okay, so I think, the fact that I studied blockchain so early allowed me to invest also in crypto earlier. And that means that I don't think, when I think about personal investments, I don't only think about traditional investments, but I invest also in traditional investments, but I'm also interested in cryptocurrency. So I think the fact that I know blockchain allows me to use to see also the other parts and to move with a certain degree of agility also in the world of decentralized digital assets. Now people are using this term, and so in this sense it broadened my thoughts about investments. I invest in stocks, I invest in bonds, but I also invest in cryptocurrencies. So I'm pretty open to this new technology, also because of my background. Yeah.
It's interesting because people think that because we teach also crypto, we are only talking about crypto. And no, actually, we come from a mixed background.
Yeah.
And it's very important to integrate both words without just giving the privilege just to one. And that's also what we do in the academy.
That's true. We are teaching that both sides are not in fight with each other, but that both sides will integrate in the future. This is important because many people, crypto was born to fight against the financial system, was born after 2008 because of the distrust that people had in the financial system. Reality is that maybe some of these claims were true, but it's also true that the world moves with this traditional financial background. So if you want to propose something new, it has somehow to integrate with what already exists. This is what happened with Amazon, for example. Amazon didn't replace the shop that we have, I don't know, in big cities, supermarkets, not supermarkets, the malls actually didn't replace it. It just created a new tool, and people use both. They go to the mall and they use Amazon. So Amazon integrated in something that was already existing. So I think this is what cryptocurrency and what digital assets will do. It will integrate with the existing system, and there will not be a fight. So that's why we teach in the academy both segments. We teach traditional investments economics, the traditional world, and also the new world, because the future will be an integration between these two.
Being disruptive doesn't mean that you have to eliminate what's behind you. And that's the key point.
Yeah.
And I think you've touched on a very important point, which is financial education, which is what we're trying to achieve with RIV Academy.
Yeah.
It's a very important point because in most institutions, educational institutions, they don't teach you financial education. They don't teach you anything about taxes, how to invest your own savings, and how to deal with your first few thousands of euros or dollars of income. And I believe it's essential to survive nowadays. So what do you think should be done with regards to personal financial education? Do you think it should be implemented in high school, for example, or touched more in depth even at university? Or you think it's not a duty of educational institutions and people, since it's something so subjective, because people have different risk tolerances and perhaps different interests, they should be able to make their own decisions with the information which is available online?
Yeah, so I think that the education system right now, at least for Italy and Europe, I don't know about the States, is still a little old. We still teach topics that may be taught a little less, and we don't teach things that we should teach. I'm not saying that we have to eliminate Latin, Greek, or philosophy, because I loved this learning about these things. I'm just saying that the school system was created in a world in which a computer did not exist, AI did not exist, and the world was much easier than now. And since now the world is more complex, the education should change, I think. Regarding personal investments, I don't think you can teach them at school because teachers, teachers are, I don't think a teacher has to be, a teacher doesn't have to be able to say, okay, invest in this, invest in that. But I think it's important to teach, for example, economics, the fundamentals of economics, microeconomy, macroeconomy, what inflation is. The main concepts of economy is essential. It's important at least to make the student understand why he has to invest, for example. Not telling him where to invest, but for example, telling how to invest and why it is essential to invest because of inflation, because of the devaluation of the national currencies and everything. So it's important to make them understand why they should be interested in these topics. And the school has to give the foundation of how to understand the world. So it doesn't have to be to teach you where to invest and how to invest. So I would insert more economics lessons, also things about how the law system is important. These things that make a young guy understand how the world moves, how the economy works.
Yeah, what is what, and especially not everybody can just teach where to put your money at. Not everybody can just say invest in this, invest in that.
Also, because personal investment is a delicate topic, and it's difficult even now for fund managers to probably beat the market. So it's a complex topic, but so the school has to limit themselves to giving the students the tool to understand how the world is working. Then it's a student that has to decide whether to invest in crypto, to invest in stocks, or just not to invest because probably someone doesn't want to invest. I don't think it's a wise choice, but there are people that have zero risk tolerance. If I'm not tolerant at all, if I'm not even safe thinking that I bought a bond of a treasury bond, then I would say, okay, don't invest at all. Keep the money in the bank and
would you consider yourself a risk investor, a very conservative one? I think it's funny to know a bit of everybody.
I'm very comfortable with risk. Yeah, so I'm very different from traditional investors. Although I invest also in traditional financial instruments. I think the mere fact that you put a lot of money in crypto is a statement, right? Because people that invest in crypto have usually high risk tolerance. They can tolerate risk because they can tolerate the volatility of the crypto market. Of course, I'm not telling you to invest everything in crypto, and I'm not telling you to do what I do because I don't invest everything in crypto. But for example, I invest at least 5% of my net worth is in crypto. And now that there is the bull market, even more, because I'm not selling my crypto now because I think it will grow in the future. So my allocation in crypto depends on the market conditions. As you know, crypto moves in cycles. So when there is the bull market, I'm overexposed to crypto. When there is the bear market, I am underexposed. So I tend to change my allocation compared to the market conditions. But I'm very, I can tolerate risk a lot.
Yeah. Do you think AI with financial planning in this side is something compatible? Do you think AI is able even to understand what cycles are? Some people say yes, of course. Some people are negative about it. What is your position about AI and finance?
So if the AI can help finance,
yeah, also into your planning, a lot of people use robot AI to just allocate your money, and there are bots that tell you what is worse, what is better. Which I don't know if it's something good or bad. But what is your position into it?
I think that AI will definitely help, and somehow AI can craft an investment strategy, of course. I don't know if it's optimal, but for example, something completely unrelated. I'm a runner, so I asked ChatGPT to make a plan for the marathon, how to train, no? And he made a plan, and I compare it with another plan. And the plan of ChatGPT was not bad. Was not the best one, but was not bad. So we see in finance there are robo-advisors now. There are tools that makes you creates you investment portfolios that I think they work good enough. So for the fund manager is even for the asset manager is even harder to do his job now. He can use these tools of the AI, but at the end you have to differentiate yourself. So I think AI will help. I think that we have to make sure to use artificial intelligence in a proper way. But I think that the integration of AI and finance can be very interesting, and they can lead to potentially interesting
as a tool, always. Absolutely.
And Guido, you mentioned that you're a runner. How does sport in general contribute to your peace, your work-life balance, and what do you like specifically about running? Like, what brought you to decide to prepare for the marathon?
Okay, so basically, I think sport is an important part of my life, and I really encourage all the people that are listening to us to do some sort of sports. I think especially endurance sports are very important. They can be running, can be swimming, can be cycling, can be tennis, for example. It's also a great sport. All the sport that somehow makes you move. The more you move, the better is the sport. And because we are made to move. The man in itself, we were not born to stay on the couch and watch television. No, I mean it's good to do it, but it's also important to remember our inner nature, and we come from a world in which we were hunting for eating. I mean, so that means that we developed. Because we were able to hunt better than other people, no? So we should continue. I'm not saying that we have to go and live like like the ancient, but we are better if we move, because our body is a machine, and if we use it without exaggeration, and if we stress it, we will get what is called an overcompensation. So our body will become better, and also our mind will become better, because at the end everything is connected. So I think that endurance sport and running has enabled me to do good in many aspects of life. So private life, job, it helped me a lot because you can resist more stress than another person, no? Because when you run, you are stressed. So if you learn to manage the stress of running at a certain pace, then this will transfer in your job. You will be able to manage the job stress better. So everything is related, and I think that running is a key component of my life, and I strongly suggest everyone to start running. Also because it's easy, it doesn't cost a lot of money.
When the Olympic Games?
I think I'm too old for that.
Never say never.
Also, I'm not. My time is very modest compared to professional runners, so I don't think I will ever be able to to join this competition. But
it's a shame.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, it's a question we like to do, and we do always to guests here. And it's what is a book that you personally really like, or a book that you would like to recommend to someone listening?
That's interesting. I've read a lot of fiction books, actually. Now a little less. Now I'm more into non-fiction books. I think that everyone should read what he likes. No, there are some people that like to read literature, so I cannot suggest them something which is I don't know, a philosophy book, because they will not get interested. While some people just read books about economy and so on, so they will not be interested in what in fiction books. So if I have to give the recommendation, I should know which kind of books people like. I was a big reader when I was a teenager, and I read a lot of Russian literature, for example, and a lot of American literature, which are very different between each other. But I also read many other books which are neither of the two. Italians, also James Joyce, so Irish, English also, Dickens. And I really like the Russian literature. So, I don't know, War and Peace of Tolstoy, The Brother Karamazov of Dostoevsky, I would recommend. But these are very hard to read. So if you don't like reading, don't read them. They're very big books. So it's you can, if you like more easier books, you can read something of Hemingway, which is very easy to read, no? Or but if I would recommend the book War and Peace of Tolstoy, probably something of Steinbeck or Hemingway for the literature. And I love the Ulysses of Joyce, but it's very hard to read. So be prepared, because you will not. The first time I read, I was not understanding much. And so when you read this book, actually, it's like I think 800 pages, and you have another book that explains you what happened in
absolutely
in the main
insane
book. So
we see you like complex education, complex books.
Yeah, but if you want to learn something easy, you can just read. I mean, Hemingway is very easy to read. Like now, I don't know the English names because I read it in Italian. But there are many books of Hemingway which are very easy to read. For example, also Steinbeck, for example, Uomini e Topi, which is Men and Rats, something like that. I don't know the English name. Men and Mice. Yeah, it's very short book. It's like 70 pages. Very easy to read.
Very dense.
So if you don't read a lot, go with the American literature, because American, they tend to write. They don't like to write a lot, right? They're very concise.
But if you have time, go for Russian.
Russian, they like to write 1,000 pages
at
book.
least.
So it depends on what you like. And if you don't want to read fiction, just read something related to the topics that you are interested. I mean, if you like philosophy, I read Kant, which is, for example, very interesting. If you economy, you can read. I don't know what was The Intelligent Investor. It was the name of the. It's also a good book. From IT, you have a lot of. Books that teach you how to code, for example, and it really depends on what you want to.
No, wonderful. Thank you, Guido, for being a guest, and thank you, Tommaso, also.
Thank you, Guido, for being here, and we hope that you enjoyed our chat with us.
Yes, of course. Yeah, so thank you, guys.